First of all, Coach, I would just like to say thank you, man, for this opportunity, man. Um, I absolutely loved our conversation. I like anytime a coach uh, takes the time to promote his players and looks out for his players on the high school. You'd be surprised. A lot of high school coaches are not doing that. And I'm shocked at how many players I've come across, and the high school coaches aren't doing anything to try to help their players advance past the high school level and to pursue that college education. So, Coach, I just want to say to you, man, I commend you for reaching out to me and advocating for your guys, and so I just want to commend you for that, man. I really appreciate it. As somebody in this profession, I appreciate the work that you're doing over there. And I'm just glad to be here, man. I love college basketball. I love basketball. I love people. I love young people. I just absolutely love what I do. I'm very, very fortunate and blessed to be able to do something that I love. I'm the son of a football coach. My father coached uh, football. He was the first African American football coach in the history of Cornell and Syracuse University. So I grew up in this thing as the son of a coach, and then later went on to become a coach myself. So I do have a little bit of background, a little history, a little knowledge. I'm a little small college myself. I do have some history which I can speak on. So what I want to do is just kind of start with the ninth grade, because that's the future of the program. And what I would say to all ninth graders is this: ninth graders, the student athletes themselves, and the parents, is number one, man, the books is the most important thing your ninth grade year. Your ninth and 10th grade year is the most important thing that you can do. I coached AAU with help some guys with the AAU programs, and they were traveling around the country with guys, and they were getting looks, and then I didn't, because he asked me in the middle of the season to come help him, and I didn't know these kids' GPAs. So I'm getting contacts from college coaches, and it's like, I don't know about this kid named Tori. I don't know about this kid. I don't know about this kid. And I couldn't find out. Kid got a 1.8 point GPA, 2.1, 1.95. Like, you can't do anything with that. You can go to JUCO and stuff like that, but you can't really do anything of significance with that type of GPA. And the first 2 years of high school is pretty much where your GPA gonna come from. It's not gonna move that much after the first 2 years. Once you accumulate some classes and some credits, that GPA is not gonna move much. So if you messing around and goofing around right now in the ninth grade, you're making it hard on yourself. And what happens is kids wake up when they become juniors and see they wake up, but they messed up those first 2 years. And now the last 2 years, they get, they might get A's and B's, but because the first 2 years, they were C's and D's, that GPA don't move that much. So now, because you have a lower GPA, in order to go to the type of school that you may want to go to, you got to score higher on the SAT and the ACT. All right, so they balance them out. So if you have a higher GPA, they don't require your SAT scores to be as high. Okay, and I don't have the specific numbers on me right now. And I have a young lady. I'm a part of a group called the Student Athlete Achievement Program, and I have a young lady who actually she has a book, and she's part of our program. What she does, she goes around and she talks about the core classes that the students need to be taking and all that type of stuff. And I'll get that information to Coach, so you guys can get that information if not. But the most important thing for a ninth grader, if I'm a high school coach and a ninth grader is coming into my program, the most important thing for a high school ninth grader is, number one, you got to knock out them books. We're going to be serious about these books. You're not touching the court. I don't know if they have freshman ball or not over there, but you're not touching the court in the ninth grade unless your grades are in order. You can't be borderline. You can't be, because ninth grade, that's the easiest year in high school, right? So you don't even let a ninth grader touch the court until he understands, man, this is a different level right here. This thing's serious. Because from ninth grade on, that tri-school transfer is going to stay with you. What you've done from first to eighth grade doesn't matter anymore. You know, it's a wash. If you played around and wasn't serious, okay, there's nothing we can do about that. But now, this high school transcript is going to determine the next course of your life. So this ninth grade year is very, very important. And I won't spend a whole lot of time on this, but if you do the numbers, let's say you take 4 classes, your first 4 classes of high school, and you get 3 100s and 1 0. That 1 0 drops you all the way from 100 average to like 75. If you get 3 100s and in one class you get a 60, that 160 drops your class, those 3 100s drops it all the way down to a 90. It drops you down 10 points, right? The problem is, as you accumulate more grades, your GPA doesn't move as much. So it's going to be harder for you to improve on that 90 or that 75. And that's if you got 3 100s. If them 3 100s are 90s, you even lower, right? So it's very, very important that these first 2 years that you master the study habits that you need to become a better student on the high school level. So ninth graders, you should be focused on your grades. You should be focused on being coachable. You should be focused on your mental and physical conditioning. All right? Laying the foundation. That ninth grade year should be a shock. They should walk into something that, whoa, what's this? I don't know what this, I'm not used to this. I don't know what this is. All right? It should be in a shock because they got to be like, okay, this is real now. I'm not playing games no more. It's real life. This is going to determine what type of college I can get into. All right? So ninth graders, parents, I would say this, it's time, whether you have or haven't, it's time. You gotta let these little young men and young ladies go. You gotta let them go. Turn them over to your coaches. Trust your coaches. If you don't like what's going on with the coaching, then you yourself, behind closed doors, have a conversation with that coach. You don't talk about your coach in front of your child. You cannot talk about your coach in front of your child because the coach is in charge, whether you like it or not. He's in charge. And that young man has got to listen to that coach. He got to, because the coach ain't going to do what you want him to do. He's going to do what he wants to do. So the young man has got to understand that he's going to have to buy into what that coach is selling. And he's got to buy into how the coach wants it to be done. And your voice as a parent is always going to ring louder than the coach. It's always, he going to hear your voice in them stands before he hear that coach on the sideline. All the time. The problem is that you ain't coaching. So now the kid is stuck between listening to mom, dad, and the coach. He's stuck. He want to listen to coach because he's the coach, but you, mom and dad. So it's like, now the kid is messed up. He don't know what to do, right? And so now what happens is, and here's what happens too. Then I'm gonna move on. What happens is in his mind, as soon as things go wrong, and they will, no season, no game's gonna be perfect, no season's gonna be perfect. As soon as something goes wrong, he's been trying to buy into what the coach is saying, but when something doesn't go right, the negative stuff that he's heard from you, now he starts to hear that. My dad said this. My dad said he didn't know what he was talking about. My mom said he didn't know what he was talking about. And now that causes division. Now the kid's really messed up with stuff. So I don't want to preach on that. I just see it all the time. I've done AAU. I've seen the craziest stuff happen. And I just, just from my conversations with Coach, I thought that's something that I would share just from my past experience. So ninth graders, it's all about grades. It's all about maturing mentally and physically. And it's all about being coachable and buying into what the program has set place. As we move on to JV now is you're prepping for the big time. You're prepping for varsity. So now you should already have your grades intact. You should already have your mental, your attitude in the right order. You should already be thinking of making changes in your body physically, right? And so now it's about attention to detail. Now it's about, okay, I gotta work to learn more about my craft, right? The only difference between JV and varsity, freshman and varsity, is physical and mental maturity. Skill-wise, a ninth grader can do anything that a JV player or a varsity player can do. He can make 23 free throws in a row. He can make 23 pointers in a row. He can dunk. He can do whatever a varsity player can do. The difference is physical and mental maturity. So now as a JV guy, okay, I should be working on my body. I should be ready for varsity just in case they call me up. I should really be focusing on, what my niche is going to be in this program. I may not know as a ninth grader yet, but as a JV guy, I should pretty much know what they're looking for me to do as a varsity player, and I got to buy into that. Now, one thing that happens is a lot, and Coach, when you want to cut me off or stop me and ask questions, you just cut me off, all right? One thing that happens on the high school level, you got a kid that's 6'4". He's the biggest guy on the team. And Dad played college ball, and he wants his son to play guard. But he got to play in the post in high school. You got to do what you got to do in high school. You got to play the post, because that's what your high school coach needs if you're the biggest player on the team. Now, here's what's got to happen. You got to work on your guard skills. It should be a part of the program as well, but you got to work on your guard skills, defending on the perimeter, your agility, ball handling, shooting the mid-range jumper, the three-point shot. You got to work on that on your own time if it's not incorporated into the high school program. You got to work on that on your own time. Now, the benefit of it is this. Now, when you transition, if you're fortunate enough to transition to college and you're 6'4" and they put you at the two guard or small forward, now the coach, he's got a two guard that he can post up. And most college guards don't work on defending the post. So don't look at it as, man, they playing my son out of position. Look at it as, man, my son is learning multiple skills that transfer to the next level that now make me a multifaceted player that make me more valuable, because now I can do more things. And the more things that you can do, the easier it is to stay on the court on the next level. All right? Now, varsity guys, you seniors, all right?
I got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
My son is better than his son, but his son made varsity. and my son on JV. So now I want to transfer.
Right. Okay. That's a good one, Coach. That's a great one, Coach. Well, there's a lot of ways I can go with that, but this is the way I'm going to go for sake of time. One of the main things that I see on the college level that has hurt these young men is they have no mental toughness at all. They can't handle any type of adversity. Anything that doesn't go according to the way they think it should go, they can't handle. And everybody in here that's a parent knows that life just ain't like that. You know, you're gonna gain more by sticking it out and fighting for it. If you want it, right? Fight for it. If you want that starting position, if you want that playing time, if you want to be on varsity, fight for it. And the main thing that I told my son was this. Listen, my son was 5'6", played 4 years of college basketball. Everybody told him to play football, said he was too little. And I saw him going through this mental thing. And I said, what's wrong? Everybody telling me I need to stop playing football. I need to play basketball. I said, well, what do you want to do? He said, I want to play basketball. I said, well, listen, then you put in the work. You put in the work. If that's what you want to do, you put in the work. Now, you 5'6", you're going to have to put in extra work because you're going to have to leave absolutely no doubt that you belong on the court. And so what I would say to that, man, transferring, all you're doing is going to a different situation that you don't really know about till you get there. You're starting all over again. You got to learn the players that's over there. You got to learn the coaches that's over there. You got to learn the system. You're starting all over. At least you may not, where you're at, you may not like what's going on. You may not agree with what's going on, but at least you know what's going on. You know, so that grass is green, or, you know, that thing ain't always. And plus, I would say this, because a lot of this is going on. Stacking teams and getting all the kids all to go to one school and, you know, and all of that. I know some guys, man, that did that. And a lot of guys have done that. And one guy in particular, man, Lou Williams, who played, who's in the NBA now, these guys were stacked with him. And I'm not going to call no names. Y'all might know some, so I'm leaving it alone. But the school that this one individual is at, as a 9th grader, he was the man. He was the go-to guy. Well, he wanted to transfer and get on the stack team over at this other school. And he went over there. They won a state championship. But when Lou Williams graduated and the other guys, those seniors graduated, he was still there. And now, because he didn't have to do the work that he had to do when he was at the other school, he wasn't prepared to be the main guy on the team. And so he got a scholarship to SEC school his junior year based off of height and reputation. Got to that school, he wasn't prepared. Didn't play, ended up transferring to a smaller school, you know, lower level school to finish out his career. So my point is this, man, is that, you know, we got to start teaching our young men, especially young black men, how to fight, man. Just at yourself as a parent, mom or dad, just think about how hard it is for you to advance in your career, advance in your profession, or whatever it is that you're doing. There's been struggles. There's been things, challenges you had to fight through. You couldn't just jump up and leave and quit and go somewhere else, right? Where do you learn those lessons? You learn those lessons in middle school, in high school, in college. That's where you learn those lessons. Those lessons prepare you for adulthood and being parents. And so transferring to other schools because you don't like what's going on, you know, I don't agree with it. Unless your child's being abused, You know, I say fight it out. I got a kid on my team right now who got cut in the 8th grade. He got cut in the 9th grade. He got cut in the 10th grade. He made JV in 11th grade, but didn't touch the court. And he got cut 12th grade. And now he's playing college basketball for me. At 5'9", I redshirted him his first year. I said, listen, son, if you do what I tell you to do, and don't worry about all the other stuff you see, because I didn't recruit all these other guys, if you just listen to me and do what I tell you to do, you're going to be okay. Redshirted him his first year. He was mad he didn't want a red shirt. By December of his first year, he came to thank me. He said, Coach, I'm learning so much, man. I'm glad you redshirted me. All right? His sophomore year, freshman year on the court, he led the team in offensive rebounding at 5'9". He led our team in offensive rebounding. He led our team in field goal percentage at 54% because of the work he put in. There was nothing given to him but the work he put in. And now he feels better about himself because he earned it himself. Nobody gave it to him. He earned it. All this hopping around from school to school to school, and we wonder why our communities don't get any better. Because there's no loyalty to the community. I'm gonna put Coach on the spot right now, and I don't think he'll mind me doing it. If Coach is not doing his job as a coach, working with his players, teaching his players, training his players, holding his players responsible for being positive young men in the school and in the community, if he's not doing his job, doing that, then you guys have every single right to go to him first. Everything should be done in decency and in order. As a professional, not hollering, yelling, and screaming, sitting down and having a conversation, man to man, woman to woman, about how you feel at the appropriate times, not in front of your kids. You're not satisfied with what he's talking about, then you go to the athletic director. You're not satisfied with what he's talking about, then you go to the principal. But demand excellence where you're at. Stop hopping all around. Demand it from where you're at.
I believe that's a big part of it. Through the years with my son, I always wanted to force him to be aggressive, even at the rec league. But I knew that's something that I could not teach. I knew that's something that he had to grow and develop into if he was going to be aggressive. And over time, he became more aggressive. And it's funny that you brought up mental toughness. I'm reading a book. It's entitled Mental Toughness by a former Navy SEAL. And I wanted to know, as far as depositing those seeds on a daily basis of, you can do this, you can do that, continue to do this. If you want it, go get it. Is there, do you recommend other things to say or to deposit or to instill in our young men in order for them to understand that, look, you say you want to go to the NBA. Okay, well, you're showing me a junior high school mentality right now. So, do you have other things that you can recommend, I guess, that you can give to us pertaining to that mental toughness piece?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I like the fact that those encouraging things that you say. I think one of the things that I see that's missing a lot now is I see it, and I'm not saying you on the line, so if I'm not talking to you, don't take it personal, right? But we're too buddy with our children. You know what I mean? Like, we're too, you know what I mean? You got to put challenges in front of them. Like, my players right now, on the college, their rooms have to be dress right, so to speak, if you've been in the military. When they get out, they got to make those beds. There can't be no wrinkles in the bed. Their shoes have to be lined up a certain way. The shoe strings can't be hanging out, out the shoe. The shoe strings got to be tucked in the shoe. The shoes got to be faced a certain way, and they can't be pointing out like that. They got to be toe to toe, pointing straight. You just have to do things that requires them to meet the standard. And we're not going to deviate from the standard. I love you whether you meet the standard or don't meet the standard. I'm going to love you. But if you say that you want something, you got to meet the standards. So one of the things that I do with guys, they say they want to go to the NBA. Well, the NBA has this 5-point test that they put all their players through. And so this is the standard. You say you want to go to the NBA? Here's the 5-point skills test that they use. Here's the standard. Meet it. Are you doing the things to meet that? Well, if you're not doing those things to meet that, you can't expect to get there. And we have 25 words that we use. I got from a book by Kevin Eastman, who was assistant coach with Doc Rivers in Boston and also at the LA Clippers. I went to a coaching clinic of his in Charlotte. Had a great time up there with him. And I bought his book, man. It's a great, great book. And he's got 25 words that is why the best are the best. And my players have to know those words verbatim. And when we talk, and we also have a team vision. And when we talk and communicate, their answers have got to come from our team vision or those words. So what I'm saying to you, sir, I hope I'm answering your question. What I'm saying to you is this, is that you got to put demands on your children. And you got to keep demands on them, especially us men. And I know myself, I was separated from my kids for 6 years. Didn't know where they were at for 6 years. And so when I got back in contact with them, it was tough at first because I really just wanted to be their friend because you know what I'm saying? I just wanted to be there because we've been apart for so long. But I had to stop that, man. I had to be a father. I had to say the things that need to be said, whether they like it, don't like it. I had to set a standard. I had to model the standard myself. And then I had to hold them to the same standard. And we're not going to deviate from this, So that I think mental toughness comes from, they're not going. My players don't understand why, what time putting shoestrings in the shoe has anything to do with playing basketball. They don't understand why not having any wrinkles in the bed has anything to do with playing basketball. But basketball is a very, very, very simple game. It's a simple game. The hard part is, can I attach one simple task to the next simple task, to the next simple task, to the next simple task, 5 guys doing 5 simple tasks together at the same time, with the same amount of intensity and focus, can we put that together? See, that's the hard part. The task itself is easy, but can we all do it? So the mental toughness comes from forcing them to do things that they may not want to do, that don't seem important to them. So mental toughness, I think a lot of times when we hear the word toughness, we think about yelling and screaming. And, I'm not a yeller and screamer myself. I'm a teacher. I teach, and so mental toughness for me comes from requiring certain things, setting a standard, and we're not going to deviate from that standard. We're going to hold them accountable to that standard, right? So just to give you an example, for one of our words is accountability, right? And so what I'll do is I'll say, what's accountability? And everybody will say something. And I'll say, no, accountability is my word to the team that I will understand, execute, and hold myself to all I must do to contribute to the successful completion of our goal. That's accountability for us. No matter who you ask, if you ask them what accountability is, if they don't say that verbatim, they're not part of us, right? So we all got to speak the same language. So just getting to do little things like that, man, helps. But I like what you're doing with the encouraging affirmation and stuff like that. That's beautiful.
What do you say to the single mother who has this now young man in high school, and they can't find that groove to let them go.
Right. Now that's a great one, Coach. And Coach, you might not like my answer on this one. I don't know. But I used to battle with this, man. And the battle is trying to ask women to be other than what they've been created to be. Women were created to be nurtured. And you can't take that away from the woman. Like, she's got to be that nurturer. However, okay, however, you have to treat that coach, that teacher, or whatever, if the father's not in their life, like the father. And you have to give that father, that coach, that teacher, you have to give them the freedom to do what they got to do to help raise this young man to be a man. Right? You can't do everything for the little guy or the little girl. You got to let them go. They got to grow up. The best time for them to make mistakes is while they're still in your home and under your care. And you can help them through some of the mistakes that they make. But if you try to cover up for everything that they do, make excuses for everything that they do everything for them while they're under your care at home, then when they leave up from under your care, they don't know how to fend for themselves. My mom taught, we had 3 boys, and my mom taught us. I was ironing my clothes and washing my clothes at 8, 9 years old. As soon as them clothes came out the dryer, I had to iron them and fold them. Wasn't nobody doing that for me and my brother, these kids, I get kids at the college level, man, and man, they don't even know how to wash clothes, right? So mom's got to be mom, Coach. Mom's got to be mom. You can't take that role from her. She's got to be who she's been created to be. It's unfortunate that the dad is not in the home. Hopefully they can co-parent, but if that situation doesn't exist, the responsibility is on the mother to seek out help from the coaches, to seek out help from the teachers, to seek out help from the uncles, maybe if you have neighbors, whatever it is, to play that kind of father-like figure, because they got to have that discipline. The one thing that I noticed very clearly on the college level, that most of the young men that I come across, 90% of them come from single-parent homes, and they can't handle the gruffness of a man's voice. They do one or two things. They curl up like little babies and start pouting, or they ball up and want to fight. They can't handle it, So it's the responsibility to me comes on the mother to find those male figures. You as a coach being one of those guys, to play that father-like figure so that mom can still be mom. I just think mom has to do that.
All right, here's my last question, and it'll be a 2-part question. I'm a Division I basketball player, and I'm not getting my looks. I'm a junior, I'm a senior. So I think it's because the coach is not helping me out. And I'm not interested in Carver College because it's not D1. So could you respond to that, what a player looks like that's a Division I athlete, and then tell them about your schedule?
Yes, sir. That's a great too, Coach. Number one, I've coached several Division I athletes, some that have gone on to play in the NBA and overseas professionally. And the one thing that I know about, I recognize in them, is that when they walk in the gym, they're different. Their whole approach to everything that they do is different. You're not a D1 basketball player simply because you can shoot threes. I got a guy that plays for me at Carver College that can shoot threes with his left hand almost as good as you can shoot with his right hand. And then nobody look at him. He made 147 straight free throws in practice, and didn't nobody look at him. He played for me at little old Carver College, right? If you don't go D1, it's not a mark against you. It's just a numbers game. There's only a certain number of scholarships available. That's it. And then it's somebody's opinion. It's the coach of Georgia Tech's opinion that you're not good enough to come play for him. Doesn't mean he's right. That's just his opinion. Same thing in Georgia State or any D1 school. So if you're going to base your whole athletic existence, career, aspirations on whether or not you go D1, I'm going to challenge you to change that thought process. Because a lot of that D1 stuff has absolutely nothing to do with talent. A lot of it is profile. So what I mean by that is, if I'm a college coach, I'm going to take a 6'4" point guard who may not be as skilled, meaning he may not be able to handle the ball, he may not be able to shoot, he may not be able to pass and do all the skill things as good as my son, who is 5'6". But I'm gonna take him because he's 6'4". And now they're not gonna post my son up, my point guard up, because he's 5'6". I got a 6'4" point guard, right? D1 is not all about skill; it's about profile. All right. So don't get caught up in this D1 stuff. Especially if you're a guard. Especially if you're a guard. If you're 6'5" and under, do not get caught up in that D1 stuff, man. I'm telling you, don't get caught up in it. All right? There's way too much talent that I see every single day on the D2 level that can play. I'm talking about can play. I got guys that can play. Right? So D1, if you get it, you get it. I wouldn't focus on it. All right? Coach, I appreciate you giving that opportunity. You know, I'm Carver College. I'm a very, very small school. I'm in what's called the National Christian College Athletic Association. So we're a Bible college. And so we're not D1. We're not D2. We're not in the NCAA. We're in the NCCAA, National Christian, or NCCAA, National Christian College. All right. And so we're not even on that scale. However, we're independent, so we make our own schedule. Our NCCAA has a postseason tournament and region tournament, and then a national tournament, just like the NCAA does, NAIA does. All right, just a different association. But because we're independent, we make our own schedule. This year we're going to play 12 D1 games. Okay, we play Georgia State, we play Kennesaw State, we play Georgia Southern, we play Citadel, we play Appalachian State, Nichols State in Louisiana, Troy, North Alabama, Jacksonville State, or who else? I forget who else. But Tennessee State, and on and on. We had other games that we could get, we just couldn't work it into the schedule. So what I tell people about us is we're a real small school, tucked away in a small corner here in Atlanta. Nobody knows about us hardly. But if you're stuck on D1, right? That's what you're stuck on, and you don't go D1, you might as well give my school a look, because no D2, no Division II school, no NAIA school are playing the schedule that we play. You might get a school to play 5 D. If a school playing 5 D1 games, that's a lot. We got 12. So if your kid is stuck on D1, which is, I think he needs to challenge that thinking. But if he's stuck on that and he doesn't get a D1 offer, I think he should give us a look. You know, I'm gonna make sure Coach gets my schedule. And did I already send it to you, Coach?
No, I just went and looked it up myself.
No, that was last year's, coach.
Oh, well, no, I don't have it yet then.
No, man, this one's twice as hard as that one. This one's twice as hard as that one. Yeah, our whole first semester was nothing but D1. That's all it is. So, I would consider it. We only have 3 majors. We're a small school. We only have 3 majors: it's biblical studies, business, and psychology. So, if your young men are interested in any of those 3 majors,
Do you have to be a Christian to go to that school?
no, you don't. You do not have to be a Christian. Of course, that's what we promote. We're looking for Christian young men to help promote our mission, which is called Training to Transform. And we promote the life, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. We believe in that. But you don't have to be that to come to Carver. We believe you can't hang around the water and not get wet. So, you know what I'm saying? If you hang around us long enough, some of that stuff is going to rub off on you. But we don't pound it into the guys, man. I try to model it as they coach. I don't preach to them. I just try to model what I think, what a God-fearing man should look like. I try to model it. And of course, we have discussions on it. But I don't preach to them every day. We have chapel once a week, which is mandatory. But it's a great environment for any young man that wants to grow, or lady that wants to grow and develop in their entire being. I'm not going to get fired at Carver College for wins and losses. I'm going to get fired if I cheat on my wife, if I get a DUI, character stuff. And that's what we try to produce in our young men, character. I got a quick story about a young man named Julian who came through our school, man. And I went out we had a 5 o'clock in the morning practice. And I went out I pulled up and he left his lights on in the car. So I went to see if the door was open to turn his lights out. The door was open. When I opened the door, man, it smelled like Cheech and Jones up in there, man. The smoke, the weed smoke. I was, oh my God. So I turned his lights out, man, and went inside. I said, Jude, man, because he had a baby. I said, Jude, you riding around with a car seat in the back of your car, smoking all this weed, man. I said, Coach, I don't ride with my daughter. And I said, but that smell is still in there. It's lingering in there. She's inhaling that, man. I said, I'm checking your car every single day. You got to clean that car out. You got to get that odor out, clean your trunk. I'm checking your car every single day. That same young man, about 5 months later, he prayed a prayer in chapel. I had to lift my head up and look and see, make sure that it was him. I couldn't believe it was him. So after chapel, I came and asked him, I said, did you know that you were going to have to pray today? He said, no. He said, the president just asked me when he came in if I opened in prayer. I said, man, that was a great prayer, man. That prayer moved me, man. I said, appreciate it, Coach. Now, he still smokes weed to this day. You know what I mean? He still does what he drinks and all that to this day. But that school had an impact on him. It had an impact on him. And so nobody gets anything overnight. But the seed was planted. These guys stay in touch with me. They like family. When they come back to the school, everybody on our team will run up to them and greet them, even if they don't know them. We greet them in love, we hug them. They introduce themselves to each other. We just had a scrimmage last week. All the old guys came back, and they talked to the young men and let them know about the experience that they had there and everything. So we're a family, man. And, we look at basketball as an opportunity just to reach those guys. And I think we're the best of both worlds, to be honest, Coach. My guys know, because I want them to know that, your social skills matter in life. You know what I'm saying? Your resume might get you in the door, maybe, but your social skills, they're everything. They're everything.
Saying row the boat. a lot. You know, we do say trust the process, which is our mantra, but we've added on row the boat this year, which I adopted from PJ Fleck, who is a head football coach. He's now at Minnesota, but when I met him, he was a head football coach at Western Michigan University, which is the school that my wife graduated from. So you'll hear us say row the boat, and what row the boat means is that we're all in the boat trying to go somewhere. And there's three parts of the row the boat mantra. There's the boat, and the boat is what carries you to where you're trying to go. The boat in this case is basketball, education, and Creekside High School. So you have your boat. We can't go anywhere without the boat. We're trying to be better men, better fathers, better young men, prepare you for college. The second part is your oar. So you have your boat and your oar. Your oar is your work ethic. So if we say, did you bring your oar today? Means, did you bring your work ethic? Did you bring the best oar that you have? So you have your boat, which carries you. You have your oar, which is the work and the intensity that you put in while you're in the boat. So you can have work ethic and not be on the team, and it doesn't benefit anybody. You can have work ethic and leave. It doesn't benefit us. The last thing is your compass, which is your direction. We're going to set the direction. So they need to look at us as the head coach and the assistant coaches and the administration to see where we're trying to go. That's that compass. So you have your boat, which is what takes you, what carries you. Your oar is your work ethic, and your compass is what you're looking towards, what's guiding you. If any one of those aren't in line, we're in trouble. If my mind goes left and I start doing off the wall stuff, we're not going to get where we need to go. If you don't bring your oar, then we're just sitting in a boat. If you bring your oar and I have my compass, but you refuse to get on the boat together, we can't go anywhere. Now, if you know anything about rowing a boat or being in an oar, you have to get in that boat and everybody must work with one mission, one vision, or else the boat's going to start turning around in circles. Because if I have PJ over here rowing, he's rowing his heart out, but Caleb's over here, and he's just, you know, him and Avery worried about some cookies. They're not working. So now the side that's working harder is going to start turning, and it's going to start turning. So we all have to work together, and we all have to work hard. We don't have the type of team that we're just going to show up in the gym and blow somebody out without working. We don't have that. We haven't had that in a long time. So we all have to work. Another thing about being in a boat, that you're in a rowing boat, you have to sit down with your back towards where you're going. When you row in a boat, you're not looking at where you're going. So you got to have some type of faith. I'm not asking you to be religious or anything like that, but you can't see where you're going. You have to trust your compass that I'm guiding you to the right place. Because if you're rowing, what you're seeing is where you came from. Where you came from is middle school. It may be, FLA. It may be, AAU or something else. But as we're working, we're leaving where we came from. I have to work my way out of a mentality or a mindset that I had before. And if I'm not willing to trust, then it's not going to work. You can't always look back and say, okay, I know where I'm going, because while you're looking this way saying that we're going to win state, then you're not rowing, you're not working, and you're not trusting the process. Because I can't promise you a state championship. I can't promise you that you will be in college next year. But what I can promise you, if we all work and we all trust, we won't be where we're at. That's a guarantee. There's no way to work hard and end up being in the same spot. Even if we don't win a game, we still won't be where we are now. And that's the thing that's so important about rowing the boat. So you'll hear us saying that a lot. And I just want to explain to you what row the boat means.